Hey, what it is, guys? HM613 here, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. I am going to be reading a creepypasta by MrAstroBleme. It is called Knocking. And the reason why I'm doing this is I want to start doing some new videos because I've been noticing that I've been losing some subscribers. I've been getting not a lot of views lately, and YouTube has been copyrighting almost every video I've been making recently. So I thought I'd take it a little step further and doing another genre of videos I love, which is creepypasta writing. If you guys don't know what creepypastas are, they're scary stories. I am in love with them. I listen to them every night before I go to bed. I know it sounds weird, but I just love scaring myself, and I just hate when scary movies don't do their jobs. But yeah, so here's a video of me reading creepypasta called Knocking by MrAstroBleme. So here it goes. It started when I was 6 years old. I was in school. It was the middle of a reading lesson. I needed to pee badly. At that age, actually, a fair few kids still wet themselves, and I always got paranoid about embarrassing myself in public like that. I stuck my hand up and told Mrs. Zebby that I needed to use the bathroom. After the usual speech about how I should have gone at break, she gave me the key to the disabled access toilet, as it was the closest one to my classroom. It was the middle of fifth period, and the corridors were empty and seemed carvinous to me. I was a short, scrawny thing back then. I sometimes had trouble with doors, especially unlocking them, and I fumbled for a good minute or two trying to get the blasted thing open. Anyways, as I sat in my porcelain throne, there came a knocking at the door. "Someone's in here," I called, disgruntled at this disturbance. There came a pause, and the knocking resumed. It was faster now, more determined. "Wait a minute!" The knocking slowed, and a voice replied, "Let me in. I need to come inside." The speaker's tone was thin and reedy, an adult I didn't recognize. I may have been 6, but I also had a fairly good understanding of bathroom etiquette. Mainly that you didn't let more than one person into an area only slightly or larger than a cupboard. "Go away!" The knocking intensified again, until it was a frantic drumbeat. Just a few feet from me and out of sight, I heard the voice shouting something, growing more and more desperate. "Just let me in! Open the door, please!" I was terrified by that point. The hammering and yelling was so loud, yet nobody had come to investigate it. And eventually my teacher came to find me, angry because I had been gone for almost half an hour. When I refused to open the door to let her in, she got a spare key from the receptionist and took me to the headmaster's office and called my parents. I was suspended for the rest of the week and never told anyone what happened. It was just a few weeks before the next encounter with this feminine. I had just celebrated my 7th birthday, and my family were having a barbecue in my honor. It was a glorious sunny day, but as soon as we set everything up and almost behind our house, the coal refused to light. My dad asked me to go get some fire starters from the shed in the front garden. It was pretty cramped inside. I wouldn't fit all the way, so I just opened it up, stood on tiptoes to reach the shelf holding my objective, then shut the door. As I turned away, a frantic knocking hit the other door at the side of me. "Open up! I need to come through!" This voice, it wasn't the one I heard a month before. It was deeper, more brooding and angry. I said nothing, hurried away. I had no idea what was happening, but it frightened me. As I walked away, there came a final thump, like a fist being slammed against wood, and I heard his voice again. "You little backstabber! I'll rip your freaking teeth out! Let me through!" I ran back to my party and spent the rest of the day glancing over my shoulder. As you might have guessed by now, there were a lot of these voices. I count at least 30 total. Every month or so, I used to get them pleading to be let through doors. Almost always, it would be immediately after I shut the door behind me, as though these strange entities had been following me. I never told anyone, to be honest. I just kinda got used to it. It always made me jump, and some of the voices would made me feel uneasy, but I knew that I was safe. So long as I didn't open the door, some of the voices I got used to the extent that I even named them. There was one which always used to appear at my front door at home. We have frosted glass, and I could see the silhouette of an average-sized man wearing a cap of some kind. He even spoke, but occasionally would push envelopes containing blank pieces of paper through the letterbox. I called him the postman. He was one of the more unsettling ones. If I tried to speak to him, he would look up sharply, then begin to knock. I generally left the postman alone. 20 years on, I have retained as much as normality as possible. I have plenty of friends, and even an on and off relationship with a girl I met last year. Not bad for a guy who wakes up in the middle of the night and listens intently to noises you can't hear on the other side of the door. Yeah, my buddies think I'm strange and kooky, but they put up with it. They're all great. I'll miss them. You see, things have started to get strange. Well, stranger than usual, I suppose. 3 weeks ago, I woke, sweating and crying, though. I don't know why. My dream had been, from what I recall, fairly normal. When a huge shadow had abruptly fallen over everything. Literally, the second I opened my eyes, there came knocking at my bedroom door. Not just normal knocking, though. It was truly frantic. "Who goes there?" I yelled. "Please, help us!" it replied. I was surprised. It was the sadistic, angry voice that I remembered from my father's shed on my 7th birthday, but it seemed genuinely secure. There was a pained tone to it too, as though the speaker was grievously wounded. I actually found myself pulling back the sheets to get up, but I hesitated. I've never been tempted to open the door. I suppose as a child I was so rigorously drummed into my head the idea that whatever lay beyond was evil that it was just common sense. To be quite honest, I came very close to letting the thing into my room that morning. I held out in the end. It just got worse. Just 2 days later, I was in a local corner shop. I just paid for a bottle of milk and a newspaper when a great force slammed against the shop door. Simultaneously, a voice began screaming, a long, keen squeal of pain. I reeled to the face of the door, but there were so many flowers plastered over the glass that I could only make out the shape of a woman on the other side, slapping her palms against the window. The shopkeeper stared at me as though I were crazy. In the end, I asked if he had a bathroom I could use. Murmured some half-thought-out excuse and hid there for 10 minutes until the screaming stopped. There were 4 more incidents between then and now, a mixture of screams and tearful begging. The postman stopped by yesterday too. He knocked politely before sliding his usual letters through the letterbox. Then another. Then another. A total of 10 plain brown envelopes. The postman waited for a few minutes, knocking unoccasionally, and then left me alone. Each letter contained a sheet of A4 paper, but somebody had taken a black pen to the pages, scribbling and shading them with such vigor that there were large tears around the century and the edges were frayed. I shoved them back into their envelopes and tried to put it from my mind. Earlier, my bedroom door shook violently. It wasn't a scream or a howl or a roar that I heard, though. It was just crying. Dozens of voices sobbing quietly. Another blow struck my door. Plaster flaked from the walls and twirled to the carpet. Still no pleas or bargaining, just sobbing. I jumped out of my chair. A hardline crack split from the frame of the door in one corner. My phone began to ring, and I heard a sharp rapping at the glass of my window behind the curtains. I tried answering the phone, but it was simply yet more voices crying. Not even sobbing though, more like brawling in terror and anguish. I hung up, but it kept ringing, so I took the battery out. I shoved most of my furniture against the door and window. It has been 3 hours since this latest attempt at entry began. The battery has not activated, nor has the crying. I'm fairly sure that my door won't hold much longer. As for my mediocre barricade, it could be swept aside in 2 minutes. I find myself faced with the very real possibility of death, so I am writing this memoir of sorts, just in case something does happen. What do they want? Do they even want to hurt me? They seem fearless, even malicious before. What could have driven them to this? Maybe I should open the door. Maybe I should let them in. Silence fell. I realized that even the crying has ceased. For a whole minute, I sat there. Then I got up and hurried to my door, eager to escape this claustrophobic situation. Perhaps I'd go outside, where I could be far away from any doors, and from this dang knocking. I pulled away from my barricade and turned the handle. Locked. Kneeling, I peered through the keyhole. Beyond my bedroom door was not a corridor that I remembered, but another room. Some kind of library or classroom, I think. It seemed unoccupied, but for a kid sitting and reading with his back to me, I banged the door. Hey kid, let me out, okay? He glanced over his shoulder. Yeah, over here. Could you open the door, please? I can't. I'm in detention. I'm not supposed to talk to anybody. Go away. He turned from me, confused and exasperated. I began to stand up. A loud bang shattered the silence once more. I realized it sounded like a fist being pounded against glass. My window. I heard it again. But this was no frantic knocking of somebody wanting to get inside. This was not even an attempt to break in. Whatever was beyond the curtain and glass knew I was inside. It knew I was frightened. In most predatory and sadistic way possible, it wanted me to be afraid. I turned back to the door and began hammering on it frantically. Hey! Let me in, okay? I really need you to open the door!